Welcome, dear students. Here we are going to learn today the last unit from our textbook in English for class 9, Behive. And the text in this unit is If I Were You. So, what do you understand, dear students, from this If I Were You? Can you please elaborate briefly? What is it? What is the title? What do you understand from it? If I Were You. Say something, somebody. Dear Aryan, Avni, Gayatri, Ghanshyam, Nirmal, Trisha, Rajnandini, Shardul, Sia, Surbhi. What you understand from this, the title itself? If I were you. Sometimes we say if I were you means if one does something and you want to give a suggestion or advice, what do you say? If I were you, I would do like this. Right? Means if I were in place of you, right? It is just like metaphor. Do you know, dear students, simile and metaphor? These are the figures of speech we have already studied. What is
Yes, sir.
simile, as or like? For example, you are as. So you have been compared with a cucumber with the quality that is fullness, right? You are as delicate as a flower or a butterfly. So that quality of delicate, you know, has been compared from one person to another. That is simile. I would give you another example. The warrior fought in the battle like a tiger, right? So warrior has been compared with the tiger, and that is simile. But metaphor is also almost similar to simile. Only difference is there are no words like or as. Few are the lion in the battle. Means he has been directly called as lion. But is he? No, he is human being. But has been mentioned as a lion or the tiger. Right? So that is metaphor. So here we say, if I were you, means we are directly transferring ourselves to the person, the other one. This can be an example of metaphor. Anyway, but what you understand from this, if I were you, means what?
So it
Hmm?
means that someone is wishing to be other person.
Yeah. Very good, dear Ghanshyam. For example, if Ghanshyam says to me, if I were you, means Ghanshyam is not Ghanshyam, but Ghanshyam is Ganesh as a teacher teaching you all. Means he wishes that if he were there in my place, he would never ask a question about if I were you, right? So that way you can understand that if I were you, and instead of saying was with I, probably what we do usually we say I was doing so, I was there. Wherever we use I, we use was. But here, what is used here? Were. But we know were is used for the plural nouns or plural subject. But I is singular. So what should have been there? Is it a mistake done? Or it is right and there is some reason? What do you say? What is your opinion, dear students?
No, sir, I think it is right.
Yes, it is right. Can you explain your reason?
So maybe the speaker is trying to tell about the past time.
No, was and were, both of them tell us about past, right? But why it is not said as if I was you, but said as if I were you? Okay, I'll give another example. We probably write, the essays, like imaginative kinds of essays. If I were Prime Minister of India, if I were a bird, right? Do you write or not? Such kinds of essays. So they are all just imagination. Are they facts? If I were Prime Minister, am I Prime Minister? No, it is just my imagination, and I wish that I should be, but may or may not be. Can't say, right? But it is just an imagination that I wish. So whenever we are trying to tell some improbable kinds of things that may not be true at all, right? In such cases, dear students, we replace one verb with other, and that mistake we made. It is not in fact a mistake, but we can make it, but it is right. Like, I'll give another example. With I and we, what we use in simple present tense, simple future tense, shall or will.
Will.
With I and we, with this first person pronouns, what we use? Shall or will, as per the rule. Grammatically, what is to be used? What should I say? I shall study today. I shall go to Pune tomorrow. Or I will go to Pune tomorrow. Which one is the most correct, or do you think both of them are right? So simple. We have discussed it before also, dear students. So remember again that with first person pronouns, what are they? I and we. I is singular, we is plural. Second person pronouns, you, singular and plural. It is only one. Third person, singular, he, she, it. He for masculine gender, feminine gender she, and neutral gender it. Right? Then plural of them, they. That is plural of he, she, it. So these are first person, second person, and third person. You know, right? So with first person pronouns, be singular or plural, I or we, shall is used. What is used in future tense? Shall. But when we alter change, when we replace with will, instead of saying I shall go to Pune tomorrow, when I say I will go to Pune tomorrow, the difference is there, dear student. And the difference is, it is more emphasis. Means for sure I'm going. I shall go to Pune tomorrow means possibility. I may go or may not. It depends. But if I say I will go to Pune tomorrow, means if it is raining, if there is something that I may not be able, but at any cost I'm going. So that is the difference, dear students, here between shall and will. Similarly, here I am trying to draw your attention to why here instead of saying if I was you, were mentioned, because it is just an imagination. That may not be true at all. Understanding? And here the title, if I were means, if I were you means I don't want me to be me, this will. I don't want I am at what I am, but I want that I should be you. Right? Means someone wants to become like somebody else. Adit doesn't want to be Adit, but Adit wants to become Ankush. Akanksha doesn't want to remain Akanksha, but she wants to be Anushka. So in that case, such sentences can be framed. Instead of saying if I was, we say I was. Understood? That is just an imagination. Got it, dear students? Now you tell me, what do you think there must be in the text? What may it be about? I told you very clearly that when someone wants to become like somebody else, such kinds of sentences are said. Now what it may be about? You please tell me.
Sir, it's about envy.
Yes, dear Akansha?
Sir, it's about envy.
It's about envy,
Envy.
you are saying. Okay, good. Means there is something, somebody is trying to become somebody else. Means one character is trying to, manipulate himself in such a way that wants to become like another one and live life as. Right? And that is true. That's what we are going to learn in this text. But here are some activities provided before you read. Let's see what is it. And then we will proceed with the introduction, the summary, and we'll watch some videos. And then I will explain you the text in detail, word to word and line to line. So before you read, get out. lives alone in a lonely cottage. An intruder, who is a criminal, enters his cottage. He intends to murder Gerard and take on his identity. So you got your students? Here is one main character, Gerard, who is living all alone. Can you see? Is it the screen visible to you, dear students?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so Gerard is one of the major characters who lives alone in a lonely cottage. And there is an intruder, a strange person, who is a criminal. All of a sudden enters his cottage. And he intends to murder Gerard, means he wants to kill Gerard and take on his identity. This Gerard is there all alone. There is a criminal, and that criminal wants to become Gerard by killing him, and so that he can easily go here and there in the name of Gerard. But will he be in fact Gerard? No, he will be the criminal, but he will use Gerard's name and his identity to have a round in the society and live freely. Because being a criminal, an intruder, the policemen are there trying to catch him, and that way he is there with the plan, ready to murder Gerard and take on his identity. Now the question here is, does he succeed? And that is a suspense. How he manages, then finally is he successful in killing, murdering Gerard and taking on his identity? That is the interesting thing here. Would you like to know, dear students, more about it?
Yes,
How
sir.
it happened? Who was Gerard? Then who is that criminal? What is his name? How does he enter? And how he is trying to murder? Then what happens? That he is either successful or not. If he is successful, then what is going to happen? If he is not, then what happened exactly? Those all answers you will get, your students, here in the text. And I'm sure you must have listened to the text and must have read it using the link that was shared with you in the morning. Fine. Another part given here is the following words and phrases occur in the play. Do you know their meaning? Match them with the meaning given to find out. So there are some words given here, dear students. You need to just find their meaning. Can you do it? Cultured. What do you think the word cultured means? Okay, instead of going this way, cultured and finding their meaning, I'll firstly tell the meaning and then you find a word. An informal expression for a fashionable vehicle. What is the word? An informal expression for a fashionable vehicle. Which is the word you find here? Which means an informal expression for a fashionable vehicle.
A dandy bus.
Is it there given in the box, in the chart provided?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So you match it. If the textbook is there open with you please do it there only. Are we able, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so an informal expression for a fashionable vehicle, which is the word that you matched it with? A dandy bus, right? Found it? Here it is. I'm highlighting a dandy bus. Got it? So click on, or you can just simply match there with the pencil. Done, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Then the second, unnecessary and usually harmful. Unnecessary and usually harmful, which is a word that you find similar in meaning to this, unnecessary and usually harmful.
Gratuitous.
Very
Gratuitous.
good. This is the word, gratuitous, right?
Yes.
So a dandy bus is done, gratuitous word is done. Now third, sophisticated, well-mannered.
Cultured.
Very good. Sophisticated and well-mannered is cultured. Can you see the very first word here, cultured?
Yes, sir.
Got it, everyone? Then the next,
Yes.
a Christian religious teacher who teaches on Sundays in church.
Sunday school teacher.
Yes, absolutely. So simple. A Christian religious teacher who teaches on Sundays in church is Sunday school teacher. Could you find it here? Sunday school teacher, here it is. Can you see on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
And also match them all in your textbook also. Then the next one is American English, a person who
Wise guy.
pretends to know a lot. This is an
Wise guy.
American word.
Wise guy.
Wise guy.
Wise guy.
Very good. Is wise guy. You can see here. This is the word wise guy. You can match it with American English. That is a person who pretends to know a lot. Fine. Then the next one is depend on or rely on.
Count on.
Depend on or rely on is count on. Very good. Count on. Understood? Then the next one here you can see is again American English word, an informal way of saying that one is being too clever.
To be
The
smart.
difference you try to understand. A person
be-
who pretends to know a lot, and another one is an informal way of saying that one is being too clever. Little difference is there. So which is the word that you
To
think?
be smart.
Very good. To be smart. Here it is. So to be smart and wise guy. You please understand the differences between them. Then the next one is occupied or busy.
Engaged.
Absolutely. Occupied or busy is engaged. You can see here engaged the word. Good. And the last one now, you please don't tell Akansha. I want to ask some of the difficult questions. No. I want to ask this difficult question to those who never speak. Who is there today? They thought they hardly speak. Even Talwar had joined today. Left again. Disha or someone was there. Tamanna. Yes, Disha is there. Disha, can you tell dear? Disha, the question is which is the word here you can find which means merchant. There is a word in this. Disha, no, we are not getting you. Anyway, anybody else who wants?
Sir, may I?
Sir,
Yes, you can hear Arya.
Sir, may I?
Arya Thirde.
Sir, tradesman. Tradespeople.
Very good, very good. They are tradespeople, means merchants. Good boy. Then we are left with some more words. Huh? What are they? Avoid. Avoid. What is the
Inflection.
Dodge. Dodge.
Dot.
word? Yeah, dodge is a word here for avoid. Dodge. Then what else we are left with? Merchants done, occupied done, American depend on American.
Sir, exaggerated is remaining.
Trap, trap you can trap. Trap
Frame.
is frame. Yes, very good. Trap is frame. And here,
Sir,
a tone of voice.
exaggerated.
Melodramatic.
Yes, no, melodramatic is not there. A tone of voice, there is another word. Melodramatic is, it is for another word. a tone of voice? Can anyone tell? Inflection. Right or not, sir, dear student?
Right, sir.
Inflection. That is am I right? Akanksha, are you getting here? A tone of voice is inflection, right? And there is another word for melodramatic. What is it? The one we are left with. Exaggerated. Understood? Akanksha,
Yes,
you
sir.
agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think now we are done with all. Or any word is left? Culture, sound tone, engage, melodramatic, to be smart, inflection, wise guard, a dandy verse, red speaker, gratuitous, dodge, lucky break, Sunday school teacher, frame. I think lucky break is left. What is it matching with? Lucky break. Lucky break. Here it is. Can anyone tell? I have highlighted it.
An unexpected opportunity for success.
Absolutely right. Very good, Yashraj. It is an unexpected opportunity for success. So please, can anyone repeat all this now? Culture, countdown, each word. I'll just say the word and you please tell me its meaning. Now we'll do exactly opposite that we are done with. Culture. Anyone? Bit weak in your answer. Culture. The one who starts first will be able to continue. The rest, please keep quiet. Culture. Nobody is ready. You did not understand their meaning, dear students. We have just discussed all these words and their meaning. They have been matched. Isn't your textbook open with you? Have you not marked them, matched them? Yes, dear Adi.
Sir.
Akanksha, Ankush, Arya, Aryan, Disha, Gayatri, Kancham, Janvi, Ganesh, Kushal, Nirmal, Piyush, Krisha, Rajnandini, Sanskruti, Heidi, Shardul, Sharvi, Survi, Tanishka, Vaishnavi, Vedant, Yashiraj, Raviraj. So brilliant students are there, cleverer than one another, and are
Yes,
unable to
sir.
tell.
Sir, may I?
Okay, Akanksha, you firstly tell all words and their meanings, and then I'm going to ask one by one. Over to you, dear Akanksha.
Yes, sir. Cultured means sophisticated, well-mannered. Count on means depend on, rely on. Melodramatic means exaggerated. To be smart means in American English an informal way of saying that one is being too clever. Inflection means a tone of voice. Wise guy means a person who pretends to know a no- a lot. A dandybus means an an informal expression for a fashionable vehicle. Tradespeople means merchants. Gratuitous means unnecessary and usually harmful. Lucky break means an unexpected opportunity for success. Sunday school teacher means a Christian religious teacher who teaches on Sundays in church. And frame means trap.
Very good, dear. Absolutely right, you have told. Now, are you ready, everyone? All of you, dear students? Did you match them, or shall I repeat again? Please tell me if you want me to tell again, or you are ready. You understood, everyone? Okay, I'm going to repeat once. You please note them all down and complete it. Cultured, sophisticated, well-mannered. Count on, depend on, rely on. Engaged, occupied or busy. Melodramatic, exaggerated. To be smart, that is American English, an informal way of saying that one is being too clever. Inflection, here it means a tone of voice. Then wise guy, that is an American English word, a person who pretends to know a lot. Then a dandybus, that is an informal expression for a fashionable vehicle. Then tradespeople, it means merchants. gratuitous, that is unnecessary and usually harmful. Dodge, it means avoid. Lucky break, it is an unexpected opportunity for success. Sunday school teacher is a Christian religious teacher who teaches on Sundays in church and sings is trap. Clear to everyone? Yes? Say something here, students. Yes, no, something.
Yes, sir.
Simply I'm asking to say yes or no. Then also you are saying nothing. It's not big answer. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Only one or two are there repeatedly answering. The rest don't know where they are. They seem to be present here but are saying nothing. Okay, good. So here, as you know, that there is a character, main character Gerard. You know, let's see what is his profession. Then how it happens that a person comes there who is a criminal and wants to kill him, murder him, and take on his identity. Would you like to watch the video, dear students? Firstly, just a brief introduction.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I'll show you one animation after introduction, and then we'll proceed with the summary also, and then word to word explanation. So please watch it. Here it is.
If I Were You by Douglas James. If I Were You is a very interesting play with a very surprising end. The play is set in a small cottage in the wilds of Essex in which lives Gerard, a well-educated playwright. He's all set to go somewhere. While he is busy packing his bag, an intruder enters his cottage with a gun in his hand. Gerard welcomes him with confidence. Seeing Gerard to be a nonchalant, he points the gun at Gerard and threatens him.
Stop acting smart, man, or I will shoot you. Sit down there and listen to me.
The intruder informs him.
I'm being chased by the police and I have murdered a policeman.
He further says,
While I was in the town, I saw you and heard from people that you hardly meet anyone and order your things on phone. Since both of us are of the same height and build, I thought of a plan. I have come here to kill you and live on your identity in this peaceful cottage.
The intruder wants to know the details about Gerard before killing him so that he could imitate him well. He inquires about his car and the visitors who come to his house. Gerard is not at all afraid of the intruder and he very calmly answers all the questions in a nonchalant manner. He quickly conceives a false story to dodge the intruder and save his own life. He tells the intruder,
I too am a murderer and the police have evidence against me. If you steal my identity, even then you would be chased by the police.
He further reveals,
I'm carrying false mustaches so that I can disguise myself and hide from the police. Unfortunately, one of my men has been arrested and certain things are recovered, which my men should have burned. I sensed that the police could raid my house tonight. Therefore, I was packing my bag and was ready to escape. I have also positioned an accomplice on the road to warn me of any danger.
At that very moment, the phone rings and Gerard shouts,
The time has come to leave this place forever. Police can reach here anytime. You can come with me in my car.
He fools the intruder to believe him by saying,
If you feel that I am lying, you can kill me in the car.
The intruder doubts Gerard's story. So, Gerard asks him to peep out through the door of the garage to see the police for himself. In fact, the door is that of a cupboard. As the intruder bends forward, Gerard pushes him inside the cupboard and locks it. The intruder rattles the door from inside and shouts,
Get me out of here!
Gerard calls the sergeant in order to hand over the intruder to the police.
बच्चों,
Watched it, dear students? Understood some part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell briefly what you have watched and have understood? So one of the major character, you know, Gerard. What was he doing? He was packing a bag, and there comes an intruder with a gun in his hand, right? And he is telling that he has been a criminal and wants to murder Gerard so that he can take on his identity. And some more reasons he told. What were they? That Gerard is hardly found somewhere meeting some people, and he hardly goes in the town and meet the people. He is all alone there, right? This is one thing he told. And another, that if he murders him, he can easily and freely live there in that place, because the place is little far from the town, from the city, and nobody comes there to meet. But before killing Gerard, he wants to know more about him, and so he's asking few questions. But that time, this fellow, showing some presence of mind, you know, manipulates the story. He composes and makes his own story, saying that, you know, he is also a criminal, and the policeman came to know that he is living there. And that night, he mentioned that the policemen were there to raid that area and catch the jailer. And when he just understood that the intruder, the man with the gun, is little doubtful about what Gerard is telling, he just offered him to look into or look out from the window, from the door, that the policemen must be coming, and they must be there outside, and the car is ready. As soon as he's just there opening the door, in fact it is not the door of the house, but it is the door of, you know, the cupboard there. The moment he's just opening, immediately from behind, as you have watched in the video, Gerard pushed him inside and locked him in, and then called the sergeant and also the policeman and hand them finally over to such a criminal that way. You know, in detail we'll come to know who is that Gerard by profession, where was he exactly going, what was he packing, whom did he call, whose call did he receive. Everything is given in detail. Anybody wants to say something in the introduction or the summary? No? Okay, I'll tell you. This is the text. If I were you, this is in fact a play. You can see a person saying something and the other one also responding. So that way it is a play. You can see in your textbook also. And there is a playwright, Gerard, who is by profession a playwright. How he escapes being killed by an intruder who wants to steal his identity and live peacefully. Gerard, that is the story, that is the introduction as we have understood. Now I'll just try to tell you everything briefly as the summary. Would you like to listen? I'll read it for you all.
Yes, sir.
Then we'll watch one more video, and then the communication, the conversation between them as it is given. The intruder, Gerard. The intruder, Gerard. As you can see there, it is given in detail. I think the screen is not visible to you all now. But is your textbook open?
No, sir.
Is your textbook open? If you have textbook, you please refer to it. If you don't have, you can refer to your screen now. It is available there.
Yes, sir.
Background, scene, how the play is written, the drama. That is the kind of prose this is. Meanwhile, Ghanshyam, can you please just read the background, the scene over there, how they have presented,
Yes, sir.
and then the communication starts. Good, please. Over to you, dear Ghanshyam.
The scene. A small cottage interior. There is an entrance back right which may be curtained. Another door to the left must be a practical door. The furniture is simple, consisting of a small table towards the left, a chair or two, and a divan rather upstage on the right. On the table is a telephone. When curtain rises, Gerard is standing by the table making a phone call. He is of medium height and wearing horn-rimmed glass. He is dressed in a long lawn suit and a great coat. His voice is
Very good.
cultured.
And there the entry of the Gerard is shown in the play, and then he starts saying, well, tell him to phone up directly, and that way the communication starts. In between, in the brackets, some instructions are provided. Okay, we will continue with that. But again, briefly, I'll explain you this text, this prose, this drama, so that you will have enough idea about the text and you will be able to understand it very well in a better way. So Gerard was a playwright, as you know, by profession. He had to leave his house to deliver props for a rehearsal. So in fact, he was not a criminal, as he told to the intruder. You know, he told the intruder that he is also a criminal. No, it was not the fact. He just told him so that he wanted to confuse him, right? And wanted to distract his attention so that he will get an opportunity to catch him and take away the gun out of him. In fact, he was packing the bag, but he told he was packing the bag in order to escape himself from the policemen and go to some other place. But what was he packing in that? Props, since he himself is a playwright, and those props he was packing to give someone else for a rehearsal. Just then, an intruder entered his home. He was carrying a gun. He wanted to kill Gerard and live on his identity. The intruder had committed a murder and was wanted by the police. So he thought of stealing Gerard's identity so that he could live peacefully. He wanted to know details about Gerard before killing him so that he could imitate him well. And that was the opportunity that he got, Gerard, to save his life. When the intruder wanted to know more about Gerard was just making the stories and was telling him. And that way he was successful in saving his life, befooling the intruder, and finally, how he handed the intruder over to, or the criminal over to the policeman. Meanwhile, what happened? Let's see. Gerard said that he was a proof too, and that if the intruder stole his identity, even then he would further added that he would further be chased by the police. He had killed someone and the police had evidence against him. And he made a story that he is also a criminal. Who? Gerard. And so even if he steals away his identity by killing him, there was no point. There was no use at all because the policemen were in search of Gerard also. That's what Gerard told the intruder. Then what happened? He had killed someone and the police had evidence against him. He further added that he was carrying false mustaches and other props so that he could disguise himself and hide from the police. And finally, as you know, that he was packing a bag and was putting those mustache and other kinds of things as a props people required in the play to disguise as a man with a beard and so on. So that way he was doing, but he told the intruder that he is a criminal himself and wanted to escape from the policeman, and so using those false mustache and some other props, he is trying to hide himself from the policeman. Then he says that the police could raid his house that night. He had position and accomplice on the road to warn him of danger. And he also added that that night only, the policeman could raid his house and may take him in their custody. That's what here Gerard made a story and was telling whom the intruder and was befalling him. Then Gerard pushed the intruder to believe him by saying that if the intruder felt that Gerard was lying, he could kill him. As the phone rang, Gerard said that it was time to leave. When the intruder did not believe Gerard, he asked him to peep out through the door of the garage and see the police for himself. And finally, there the bell rang, and before that only he had told that he had one accomplice, a person who could help him saving his life from the policemen. So that if the policemen are on the way to Gerard, that accomplice, the person, the informer, could tell him by calling him. And there the bell rang. Finally, he received the call and he pointed out to the intruder that there are policemen out. And if he doesn't believe, he says he can simply peep out through the garage door. Then what happened? When the intruder did not believe, Gerard just asked him to peep out through the door of the garage and see the police for himself. In fact, the door was that of a cupboard. It was not in fact the door of the garage, but was the door of a cupboard. And as the intruder bent forward, Gerard pushed him inside the cupboard and locked it. Then he called the sergeant as he would hand over the intruder to the police. And that way, dear students, the story ends. And this is really interesting, drama or play that you can really enjoy by reading it yourself and also listening to it. So you want me to explain now, or shall I firstly show you one more video where you can get and have a very clear idea about the play? What do you want me to do now?
Show video.
You want to watch a video first again? Isn't it much clear about the text? What is it about and what is there in it? What do you say? I think everything is very clear now. Better we
Yes, sir.
go with the explanation part, and then again at the end, if possible today or maybe on tomorrow, we'll watch a video, 1 or 2. Fine? With the summary also.
Yes, sir.
So can we
Yes, sir.
go with the explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
This is a scene here, as Ghanshyam has already read. I'll repeat again for your better understanding, so that you can understand and imagine that how this is a play, and on the in the theater, on the stage, how they have made an arrangement. If you want to make this for any of the programs, you can also do the same. So scene, a small cottage is there, interior, inside as if it is a house. There is an entrance back right, which may be curtain. There is a curtain put, but there is an entrance shown as if there is a door and somebody can enter in the house using that door. So another door to the left must be a practical door. The furniture is simple, consisting of a small table towards the left, a chair or two, and a divan rather upstage on the right. So this is an arrangement made on the table. On this page you can see, and on the table is a telephone. When the curtain rises, Gerard is standing by the table making a phone call. And when there is curtain taken out, what is shown? Gerard is there standing by the table and making a phone call. He is of medium height and wearing horn-rimmed glasses. He is dressed in a lounge suit and a great coat. His wife is cultured, and he is well-mannered person and saying something and speaking on phone. Let's see what is he speaking. Is it clear, dear students? The picture, how is the scenario there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the curtain, is there taken away. It rises, we can say, and the entry of Gerard is shown that he is standing by the table and making a phone call. What does he say? Let's see. Gerard says, well, tell him to phone off directly. I must know. Yes, I expect I'll still be there. But you must not count on that. In about 10 minutes time, right? Goodbye. And that way, the phone call was made by Gerard, that somebody should call him directly, and he must know about that. What is it? Not clear to everyone else. we know everything, but let's not disclose it here only. And he also mentions that he will be there. He is about to leave his house and going by car somewhere. And it may take just 10 minutes. And then he is just now, after putting his phone down, is going to leave his house. Meanwhile, what happens? Again, the description is given here. Would you like to read here, Akanksha? The description given here.
Yes, sir. He puts down
Please
the
go
phone
ahead.
and he puts down the phone and goes to the divan on the left, where there is a traveling bag and starts packing. Whilst he is thus engaged, another man similar in build to Jared's enters from the side, right silently, revolver in hand. He is flashily dressed in an overcoat and a soft hat. He bumps accidentally against the table, and at the sound, Jared turns quickly.
Okay, very good. So you can imagine now, and I think you can see also in the picture that this is a Gerard, the closer one, who is wearing a coat, having a spade, well cultured, and that is the suitcase that he has just packed. He has not packed the way in the packing we have learned. Jerome, Harris, and George have packed their bags, but in a very well mannered, so he's a cultured person and had just packed his bag and is about to leave. But suddenly he heard somebody entering because a man, an intruder, just in the same height and body, look to Gerard entered there, and he accidentally, bounced against the table, and it made the sound, and that sound was heard by Gerard, and he just trying to turn back quickly. You can see the turning position of Gerard, and there is a man, with a hat, a coat, similar looking like Gerard, with a gun in his hand. Can you see, dear students, the description given there and also the picture?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Then how does Gerard respond? Let's see. Pleasantly. Why? This is a surprise, Mr. And he's not at all surprised, in fact, nor he is afraid, nor he is scared seeing a man with a gun, but simply, with a full confidence, as he was, without showing any expression on his face, saying, "What a surprise, Mister!" And he's just trying to know, "Hey, what a surprise! This is the way we have entered. Fine." And Mister, since he did not ask directly his name, but he said Mister, and then he wished that that intruder should tell his name, right? But did he tell? Let's see. What did the intruder say here? "I'm glad you are pleased to see me. I don't think you will be pleased for long. Put those paws off." And finally, as he saw that this man little happy because the way he spoke, "Wow, this is a surprise, Mister." And that way, the intruder had not expected that a man can respond him in such a way. A man with a gun is there standing and pointing it towards him, but he is not scared at all, but simply saying in a pleasant way that he was literally surprised to see somebody coming at his home, and so simply saying Mister. But the intruder, is trying to threaten him, saying that, "Okay, I'm glad you are pleased to see me. You are happy. Okay, but this happiness will not last longer. Put those paws off." And he means to say here that what you understand, your happiness will not last longer. It means that he is going to kill him, and so he won't be happy. Can anyone be happy by dying? No, nobody. And so he is just threatening him, saying this way that you won't be happy here longer. And so put those paws off. It's the way he is ready and is just moving out, you wanted him back again in his place. Then what does Gerard say? This is all very melodramatic, not very original, perhaps. But, so what does the word melodramatic mean? Just we are done with the chart
Exaggerated.
and their meaning with a, what is it? Melodramatic.
Exaggerated.
Exaggerated. And this is also figures of speech. Exaggeration means saying something in such a way that one may not be able to believe. For example, if I say you, I saw an ant which was in the size of elephant. Can you believe? No.
No, sir.
So this is exaggeration. Means things are smaller, but we tell them very bigger, right? So this is called exaggeration. So here, what does the Gerard say? This is all very melodramatic, not very original, perhaps, but he is just trying to show his pleasure and is trying to take that man in confidence and is waiting just for an opportunity to cash in. And so he says that this is all very melodramatic. This means what, dear students? What is very melodramatic according to Gerard? What do you say? This is all very dramatic, melodramatic. So what is this here that Gerard referred to? This means what? What is very melodramatic?
The behavior of the intruder.
Yes, the way he entered, the way he has gun in his hand, the way he is speaking to him, saying that his happiness won't last longer. All of those things he referred to as melodramatic. They are all exaggerated. They don't seem to be original. Perhaps, but, and he is there saying something, but the intruder interrupts. And what does he say? Trying to be calm and that way they are one speaking, the other one is interrupting, the other one is trying to speak. Again, the first is interrupting, and that way the conversation goes on. Okay, I'll again start from the beginning. You please listen to me carefully and tell me if you are getting it well. Gerard, pleasantly. Wow, this is a surprise, Mr. Intruder says. I'm glad you are pleased to see me. I don't think you will be pleased for long. Put those paws off. Gerard says. This is all very melodramatic, not very original, perhaps, but Intruder says, trying to be calm and Gerard interrupts. Nonchalant is your word, I think. Intruder says, thanks a lot. You will soon stop being smart. I'll make you crawl. I want to know a few things. See, and this way the communication goes on. Intruder is just trying to be calm and telling him that you don't hurry, don't be so smart, be there. Put those paws up. He's trying to threaten him. But at all, Gerard is there, not getting and losing his temper, but being very calm and quiet, telling, nonchalant is your word. So, dear students, what is nonchalant means? Can you see this word, nonchalant?
Without any interest.
Yes. It did not show any interest. Who did not show any interest and in whom?
Gerard showed no interest in the intruder.
Very good. Means he is telling him, the intruder is telling Gerard that you should try to be calm and quiet, be there. And as if, the Gerard, the character here says that I think you are not getting a proper word. You mean to say nonchalant? Should I be relaxed? Should I not show any interest in you? The way you are treating and behaving with me, should I not say anything? Should I be just relaxed? Should I just not display any anxiety or enthusiasm or any feeling? That way he is speaking. Means you mean to say that I should be nonchalant? Should I not show any interest? And then the intruder says, thanks a lot. This is the word I wanted to tell. That you be calm and quiet. Don't try to be smart. And whatever the smartness that you are showing now, what smartness that you are just telling me, hey mister, how surprisingly you have entered, and this seems to be all melodramatic, the way you are behaving here, Gerard, you will stop doing all of these things very soon. You know why? Because I am going to make you crawl. I want to know a few things. See, and he's again threatening him, saying that you will crawl. Means crawling, dear students? What is crawl? How do we crawl? Do you know crawling? What does he mean to say when he says, I'll make you crawl? Getting it or not? Crawling?
Walking on the knees.
Very good. It means he is going to surrender. He is going to give in. He will move forward on the hands and knees by dragging his body and begging, for help in order to save his life. That's what here the intruder meant to say. And how is it all going to do? By putting that gun onto the head of Gerard. And then Gerard will be very quiet, being very, nonchalant, and will simply answer the questions asked by the intruder. That's what the intruder expected. But did Gerard responded in the same way as intruder expected? What do you think, dear students? What might have happened next? Can you say? Can you just try to tell what might have happened next? You know the end, but in between what happens, that is also very important to know. So let's say I'm reading it out on the next page. Gerard says, anything you like. I know all the answers, but before we begin, I should like to change my position. You may be comfortable, but I'm not. And you have seen the way they are standing. You will stop. You will soon stop being smart. I will make you crawl. He is there only, because he had mentioned, in the previous that put those paws off. Like we say, hands up, right? That way only he is there as he was. And also there the intruder is quite comfortable because the gun is with him. And so he simply said, Gerard, all right, I'll answer all of your questions and I know everything. I can help you answering all of your questions. But I'm not comfortable, Gerard says. This way that I'm standing and with this position I'm not comfortable. But you may be comfortable because you are there. So what way they are sitting comfortable way? Does the intruder allow him to sit in a comfortable manner? That is there, we can see in the next conversation. Intruder says, sit down there and no funny business. Motions to a chair and sits himself on the divan by the back. Now then, we'll have a nice little talk about yourself. And that way, he permitted, the intruder permitted Gerard to sit there only where he was standing. And he also mentioned that there shouldn't be any funny businesses because he has been all the time very funny because no one can believe and imagine that a person all of a sudden enters with a gun and there is a man showing no feeling, no expression and rather welcoming him, saying him, what a surprise, I'm really pleased to see you. The intruder was welcomed that way by Gerard. It is never possible. And so here the intruder says, you please stop all that kind of business. Don't be more funny and sit where you are. Right? That way he's trying to have control over Gerard. And finally he himself, sat on the one just nearby and then offered some talk with Gerard. Then that way their conversation goes on. Are you understanding, everyone? Are you able to imagine, the way their conversation is going on? A person just put down the phone, is just about to go out, taking a bag by car, and all of a sudden, a person entered with a gun, and is trying to threaten and is showing the interest. Showing the interest to kill him. And here he is casually, just going on making little fun, suggesting him some words like nonchalant and offering him that he is ready to answer all the questions in a very funny way, in a very casual way. Is it very common, dear students, or he is showing some extraordinary circumstances there and presence of point? What do you understand? Yes, dear students, please respond so that we can end the session. Have you understood? What is he showing? Vaishnavi?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, good. So he is not showing that he is scared. He may be scared, but not showing on his face. He's just trying to make fun to distract the intruder and get an opportunity to catch him or take away the gun from him. Okay? Then
Sir,
finally he
if he
succeeded.
might have got, sir, if he might have got scared, then he might have killed him.
Yes. If you are scared, hey, who you are? How you entered? Are you going to kill me? No, no, please don't kill me. If he had done like that, you know, he must have fought him properly and must have shot him down and murdered. Right? But here he is showing the presence of mind. Like I think I had shared with you one example of the driver of Albert Einstein. The example, right? Of presence of mind. Remember? If you don't, you please remind me in the next session. I will tell you that story also again. So, is that enough for today, dear students? 1 hour has passed. Well, certainly 1:30. Okay, then. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye. See you soon.
Thank
Bye,
you,
sir.
sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, sir.
Take care.